Who wants to die? Hey everybody, welcome to the Infiverse today. I'm the Infomancer speaking, and I'm welcome to have you here in the Infinite Realm. Today I have another weapon review for you today. This here is my Medieval Brotherhood Dagger. Very nice. I very much like this. It is an ornate dagger that I feel you would wear if you were nobility or perhaps a wealthy merchant to show your status. And for those of you who've seen my videos before, you know what's going on. For those of you who haven't, I am taking this weapon here and I'm going to be reviewing it as if it was a real weapon and not just a nice wall hanger that's a part of my collection. Just as many of my other weapons, I purchased this from Bud K, and as I said, it is the Medieval Brotherhood Dagger. The lot number is BK2364. And you don't need me rambling on forever, so let's go ahead and get into this review. The first thing I want to review here is the sheath. Or not sheath, the scabbard. The reason it is a scabbard is this is hard and solid in one piece. A sheath is flimsy. And that's the difference there. So, looking here at the sheath, I said it again, looking here at the scabbard, you see it's got this beautiful brass ornate design, and it's got these wings here with the sword going through it. I really like the way that looks. And it's got that on both sides, the intricate carvings and stuff, but my favorite is the wings with the sword. And nice, hard, black leather, really, really nice scabbard. I enjoy it very much. Here we've got more an ornate design that makes the scabbard. You can see it's got this red circle with kind of like a mix between stars and a cross. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but I really like the way that looks. And it's just absolutely beautiful. And you can see I don't need to, here's my other hand, I don't need to hold it to make it stay on. So it fits the weapon really well. And do you hear that? Do you hear how nice it's perfect. Something I really like is you can see it's got this triangle cut out, and it's got the rest of that there on the sword, so when I push it together, it looks like one solid piece. And I really like that. I think it's great aesthetic. But that's really all there is to look at with the scabbard. I don't know why I keep saying sheath. It's a scabbard, I swear. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the dagger itself. And this, of course, is the blade, and I'm going to save that for later because that's the business end, and that's what we all care about. So if I review this now, that's the end of the video, and you guys won't watch the rest. So let's start with some of the more boring stuff and work our way up to the business. So starting here at the pommel, it's a threaded pommel, which is kind of inferior, I feel. A peen pommel is better, and it's brass, so it's not very good, but it is very pretty. You can see it's got the star, and it's got a G here. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but there's a G that goes through the star, and it just looks really, really nice. Then it comes down to this handle, which the first thing to note is what it's made out of. It's got red velvet here for a nice soft grip, and it's got the brass linings on it for a more firm grip, because your handle kind of slip on just velvet. So I really like the way that looks. I really like the way it works. And if you look at the shape of it, it's not just round like a lot of weapons are presented as having a round handle. This is more of a rounded rectangular, oval rectangular. And this is important with blade alignment and makes this a very functional handle, because if I am cutting down, I want the blade to be dead on like that. I don't want the blade to be sideways like this, because then it's going to hit and it's just going to glance off. And with a round handle, you have that problem very much. You can't tell how you're holding it. With this, I can very much feel the blade alignment, and that's very important. So I really like this handle. It's perfect. I don't think they really could have improved this anymore. I really like it. I like the way it feels in the hand. Everything feels good, looks good, works well. Moving up, we've got the crossguard here. You can see it's got this really nice design here and also there, And here on the sides, it's got an upside down face. There's the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and here it is right side up, so you can see what I'm talking about. And I think that's a really nice aesthetic the way it looks. Of course, it is just an aesthetic. Those things don't really have any impact on the functionality of the weapon. And this is, of course, brass again, so again, ornate. It's not going to stop a steel or even an iron weapon from getting through. But if it was made from a good proper metal like steel or iron, it would be a very effective crossguard. If you can see the size there, it completely protects my hand. And that's really nice. And you've got this triangle part, which I showed you as an aesthetic part with the scabbard. However, it's got another use. If you can see it here, there's a gap in between the triangle and the blade for the top couple of millimeters or so. And if you were to catch a blade and it was to slide down, it would get caught in that gap. And you could then twist your dagger to either disarm them, or if the weapon is small and thin enough, for instance, if it was a rapier that you'd caught there, you could perhaps even snap the tip of the weapon off. But disarming the opponent would be very nice too. In fact, in some cases, that might be argued to be a better option. But yeah, so I really like that. Not only does it look really nice aesthetically, but it's got a functional use. And if I want to put my thumb up here to get greater control when I thrust, which is what you're mainly going to do with a dagger, I like that I don't have to put my thumb all the way down on the blade, which feels a little uncomfortable as my thumb bends around the crossguard. I can put it there and it stays flat and even, and that feels a lot better. And it does offer a lot more control. So I really, really like that. And now we are finally onto the blade end, which is what everybody cares about. And the first thing to note is this is a really long blade for a dagger. Overall, it's 21 inches from end to end. And the dagger blade is a good portion of that. You can see there's only enough room for my hand and a pommel. So most of that 21 inches is here in the blade. So that's a really long dagger blade. For those of you who've watched my dragon short sword video, you know my biggest complaint about it was that it was way too small. This is more like what I was expecting. And if you haven't seen that video, well, I just gave you a bit of a spoiler, but I haven't told you anything else about it, so go check it out. Anyways, here at the blade, it's nice and long. It's not really a blade. You can see there's no actual blade there. It's completely flat. So it would need to be ground to be turned into an actual weapon. Also, you can see the tip here is rounded. So yes, all that force from thrusting in that one point, you are going to get a lot of damage, but an actual tip would be much better than this rounded point. So you would want to do that and make it a proper weapon. But besides that, it's all good. It just needs some work on the blade and grinding and stuff. The weight is pretty good. It feels a little like a little heavy at the pommel on my hand. The center of balance is actually right here. Oh, not quite. The center of balance is somewhere right here around the. It's not at the blade. It's right here. I can't quite get my hand to balance it because it's too rounded, but the center of balance is right here at the actual hilt, which is a little bit of a problem. Not too bad, since mostly you're just going to be thrusting and not slashing. However, even with that being the case, it's such a small, light weapon. Do you see any problem in my movements at all? No. So, really good. And it is a dagger, so mostly you're just going to be thrusting. So, you don't have to worry about the center of weight too much with that. Just good thrust like that. That's all it takes. But I do like that while that is the main purpose of this weapon, and you can see it goes into a very fine point, and that's designed for piercing so that you can get through a small gap in armor like that. You can get through that. If it was a small chain link, you would start with a tiny hole like that, and as the blade goes in, it would reach a certain point where the tip would reach the same circumference as the chain links, and then as you keep pushing, because it's wider, it would push it apart like that, and you'd actually get through. So this is a very good piercing weapon. However, if you look at the width of the blade, even after you grind it down some, it should still be pretty effective at slashing and slicing and hacking if you needed it to. So that's pretty good. And keep in mind, with the way this is designed, it would be an ornate dagger. It wouldn't normally be used in battle unless you were attacked on the road or something. And really that's all there is to this review. It's a very nicely designed weapon. It only needs a little bit of improvement to actually be a weapon. I just think it's great. It was perhaps my best purchase ever from Bud K, with the exception, I think, of my Kit Ray pieces. I really like my Kit Ray pieces. But if we're excluding those, I think this is my favorite piece and the best purchase I made. It was like 20 or 25 bucks. Really, really good deal. I really like this thing. I hope you guys liked this video, and I look forward to seeing you guys here again next time on whatever videos I decide to do. Until then, you have a good one.